Hi, welcome back to Conversations with the ERC5. My name is Grace Speroni, and I am delighted to have with me today Brynn and Richard from Keiter. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you guys with us.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I have to say that when I started 2 years ago, that's about the time that you joined the chamber.
Right.
And it was just so refreshing when I went up to your office to meet you. It just felt warm and welcoming. And, then I followed up some more and I was on your website and I love everything I saw there. And I thought, you did get that feeling the minute you walked in the door. It was a warm, welcoming place and you just felt comfortable the minute you came in. I loved it. So I thank you for providing such a warm welcome for me when I came to visit you. Thank you. Tell us about Keiter.
So we are going on our 14th year this year. We do commercial, institutional construction, and residential construction, mostly new homes and large additions. We are family owned. It's owned by Scott Keiter, and his wife, Jill Keiter, is the director of finance and admin. They started out very small. Scott was constructing pool decks in his truck with his dog, and there was just a feature on Northampton Living, which kind of goes into the backstory of that. But they grew the company one employee at a time, and now we have a little over 80 employees. And we still maintain that family-oriented vibe, and it's very important to us.
Family first. That's one of the mottos.
Yeah,
I
family
was
forged.
just looking at my notes because I was going to say, what I loved was family first, corporation second. And I just love that when you were talking family, you included your work family, your employees
Absolutely.
were part of that family first. And I thought, that is so good. I have to write it down. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And I think it's great that you live it, right? You live it, you practice it, you really believe it. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's true. Jill and Scott put a lot of their own just wholehearted feeling into running a construction company. So it's a little bit of a disconnect, and I think some people are really surprised by it. But it's also what attracts clients and attracts new employees. It's a very real thing. And I think the way you described your experience coming to the office kind of reflects that as well.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It certainly does. You get that vibe. Yeah. 14 years.
Yeah.
Like I thought you were going to say 44 years because you've seen tremendous growth in 14 years.
Oh, yeah.
Because, again, I went out and stalked you on your website to learn as much as possible. But you've had a lot of growth.
We have.
Yes, it's very true.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the homes that you didn't stop there. You've now gone into business, industrial, like the library at Smith. No, not the library. I'm sorry. But at Smith College, you did the addition there.
Yes, we have done a few hundred projects with Smith. We do a lot for Amherst College, Mount Holyoke, Elms College, Bement, Williston, a lot of the local institutions.
So I think when Scott started, one of his objectives was to not just be in residential construction. So, as he got bigger and bigger, he did expand and included commercial and institutional work. And I mean, the Pioneer Valley, the 5 colleges attract people for all sorts of reasons, not just the students, but faculty, people who are looking for long-term employment that's stable. And to our benefit, all the schools have big real estate portfolios. And even if it's a brand new building, as soon as it's finished, it starts not being finished.
Yeah.
And so it's a source of a lot of work. And Scott's objective from the very beginning was to be a good partner, to be transparent, and to always provide, A+ work. And so he's used that as his strategy, and it's really paid off. He's built really solid relationships with the schools. And so, we try to treat them well. And and they keep calling us, and
That's a great
yeah,
thing.
it's a win-win for everybody.
But you know what amazes me is, so I'm not a creative person. And I just think to myself, how do you like design a home or an addition to a home, but then you can just turn around and now you're designing an addition or a new building to a college. Like you can go to Mount Holyoke and it's fabulous. It's fabulous. And what I love is that it has I don't know if I'm going to do it any justice in describing, but bear with me. It has like a little bit of a contemporary feel to it, but it still is maintaining the integrity of the existing structures. So it doesn't look contemporary and like it
right.
Was dropped there. It still has like a little of both. It maintains the bones and the structure of like all the other existing buildings
The more traditional
around
buildings.
it. Yeah.
Right.
But it has the contemporary feel, and it just like goes with the landscape of everything. It's like, how do you do that? I think like that is so amazing. How does someone do that? The creativity.
That's collaborating with a lot of our partners.
Okay.
That is, we have a wide range of partners that we rely greatly on the relationships that we build with clients, architects, owners of homes, representatives at colleges, and we have to be able to keep up with the trends and be able to we use the same systems across the board, regardless of what project that we're on, and we just kind of shift our approach a little bit. But Richard is a pre-construction manager, so he helps the client and the architect and the designer put everything together, and we're construction manager, so he kind of corrals all the information and streamlines it into something beautiful for then our operations team to build.
Yeah,
and
to your question, I think that the colleges, they do struggle with that. A lot of the buildings are older and they're traditional.
Yeah.
It's kind of a New England vernacular, brick, gabled roofs. But then newer students who are coming want a more contemporary, modern feeling.
Yes.
And so they're constantly, like the architects, a big part for them is to keep the old as you're staying, but also introduce the new. So it's a little bit more contemporary, a little bit more streamlined. For us, that comes up and is very real because we work in older buildings, but all of the code issues are completely modern. So a lot of times we're introducing brand new state-of-the-art HVAC, electrical, fire suppression into these 200-year-old buildings, and that can be really challenging, but we love it. One of the things Scott always talks about is complexity is something I love. Give me the complex project, because that's
Go Scott.
That's what I thrive on, and it's true.
Yeah.
And
I never even thought of that, but that's a great point, right?
Yeah.
How do you bring it up to code and then implement all these great things? I just look at it from the outside.
Right.
It's like, this is beautiful. I love it, and look at how great they've done all these things. But it's much more complicated than just what we see from the outside,
there's
and
a lot
bringing
hidden.
it all.
There can be a lot of things that you don't see them in the finished product. But you certainly experience them living in the houses. And we have the same issues in residential, too. Residential clients, even a brand new home, nobody wants the pure white box that's antiseptic and cold. They want a mix. They want it to feel warm and comfortable, but they also want it to be contemporary. And so you see kind of a blend of all those styles.
Yeah. Trying to find that right balance too, right? Because you don't want something that is going to be so contemporary that you say, well, that was so 1980s kind of. Well, because that can happen.
Oh, yeah.
You drive through some areas and you see a specific style of home, and you can say, oh, yeah, I remember growing up, raised ranches. They're beautiful.
Right.
But it's like, oh, that's like from the 1980s,
Right.
Things like that. And you don't want that.
Well, the
So
truth
it's
is what we want is
challenge.
what the client wants.
Yes.
So listening is a huge part of what we do.
I
you
could
have
imagine.
to come to the table kind of with an open heart and an open mind. And I mean, if the client says, I want an 80s.
You're going to build that raised
Exactly.
ranch.
That's what we're going to give them.
Well, and it is all about the client. It's
Yes.
about building great relationships.
It is.
And I think you certainly have done that.
Yeah.
Because again, I just felt very warm and welcome. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to continuing to work with you. But you do have that great family vibe that
Thank
comes
you.
through. So you're doing a great job with that. And with everything else, really. The photos that we'll all take a look at are just absolutely beautiful, and you have done amazing work. And I love family first. I think that's amazing and great words to live by, though. Family first and corporation second, right?
And
People
do you
matter.
want to say our values? Is that important too?
Oh, the core values?
Yeah.
Yes, we have our core values.
Trust, respect,
Yeah.
accountability, communication, and growth.
Growth, yes.
So those are what govern everything.
It sounds
top
like
to
a
bottom.
great plan. I like it.
Yeah. If
You're
you're,
going to have
managing
to
a giant
repeat
project,
that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do it
Okay,
again.
because I got to write it down. I
Okay,
got to
okay.
add that to my Family First Corporation
All right.
and then those.
Got it.
Okay?
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
you.
joining us today. This
No,
was
thank
such
you.
a pleasure.
It was.
And if our audience wants to get in touch with you, they want to learn more about Keiter or have you come out and talk with them about an addition or building a home, how can they get in touch with you?
I would say the best way is to go to our website, which is keiter.com, Keiter.com. All the forms come to me directly, and then I can put them out to the respective parties.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So Brynn will contact all of you with the right folks.
That's right.
Thank you so much,
you.
Brynn, Richard. This was such a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this podcast with Keiter. This was truly a lot of fun. Please visit our website at ERC5.com, and you can check out our other podcasts there. And you can also sign up to be the next guest on Conversations with the ERC5. Thank you for joining us.